I'm the daughter of an aerospace engineer, and he believed anyone who was going to be successful had to do something in the field of math and science. The two areas I probably was least interested in. So he introduced me early on when I was 16 to the head of communications at General Dynamics where he worked, and I thought it was really fascinating to tell stories and to communicate with people and engage with different audiences. And so I actually went to college at UCLA. I studied communications. My first job was in public relations. I took a recent position as the Chief Marketing Officer at PRSA-Affiliated. It's been a great opportunity to take a really strong foothold in public relations and take it into marketing, because I always felt like PR should have so many roles that marketing shouldn't, and it's been interesting to be able to bring that kind of an experience over to the marketing department. We've seen the greatest amount of change, obviously, with technology change and how people consume, interact, buy things, get information, whatever it is. And that has greatly impacted how all marketers deal with their customer segments, how we try to, build affinity for a company or a product, etc. And I think it's demographic shifts, also understanding how millennials are so different than Gen X and from boomers. And then also just I think the world's changed. There's a proliferation of media and a proliferation of just so many things going on that you really got to grab somebody, you got to grab them really fast. But I think the one thing that hasn't changed is a good idea, the need for a good idea and to understand your audience and the need to take that idea and your brand, product, service, whatever it is, and connect with somebody, to tell a story that's meaningful and to relate to somebody. I don't think that'll ever go out of style. The first PRism banquet that I remember going to would have been in my mid-20s, and I was at Manny Salvation Lee. We were there to win a number of awards, and I think any time you go to an event and you are the sweep of the night, there's nothing like it. It's happened at 2 of the 3 agencies I worked at, and that is the first time I went, and it was an experience that I'll never forget. PRism Awards are like the Oscars of our profession, and it is the night when everyone can come together and celebrate great work. And it's like, to me, the Oscars without the celebrities, the gold statues, and seat fillers, but it is truly a very special night in our community.
I've been involved in public relations for over 26 years and focusing on multicultural markets, the growing Asian, Latino, African American, and other diverse markets. Well, I didn't even think about going into public relations when I was a kid because my parents would have not been very happy, because public relations isn't part of the Holy Trinity. It's not accounting, it's not law, and it's not medicine. So I kind of stumbled on public relations when I was in college and realized that there was an opportunity there. I was still explaining to my relatives what public relations is. They still don't get it, but when they saw me in the newspaper, they realized that it's a true profession. The most significant change I've seen in public relations is the move toward digital, the move toward social media, the way people pitch the media. The PRism Awards are a validation of the great work that is done in the public relations field by agencies and by corporate leaders and foundations and nonprofits on the way they practice public relations, the best practices, the best ways to communicate with media and with key constituent groups. So whenever I think of the PRism Awards, I always think that this is a validation of our work, especially when it's judged by your peers. Yeah, we won an award, a PRism Award for our work for the California Department of Health Services, and that was a campaign to reduce the uptick of smoking for teens, young adults, and for ethnic minorities. And the PRism Award was given to us because of our effective use of public relations to reach minority audiences. And that was really gratifying for us because that was a really pivotal moment for PRSA, because it recognized the value that ethnic consumers and multicultural consumers have in society today. And so this is our time. And so whenever I go to the PRism Awards, I feel that excitement in the air, and it really brings back a lot of fond memories for the many years that I've been involved with PRSA.
I came here from Chicago, from an association management background, and Burns-Lee happened to answer my resume call that went to every PR firm on Sunset Boulevard and Wilshire, because it's the only 2 streets I knew. Burns happened to be a founding member of PRSA, the first award recipient of the PRism Awards. I've managed PRSA-LA from 1970 to 2010, 40 years. You know, with computers and technology, and I think that's obviously the biggest change. But also the demographics of the chapter changed dramatically. Gender and age was a huge difference from the early days. The best part of the change of this chapter is that it got younger. And I love that it's attracting more young professionals, and that's going to make the future of the chapter solid. In the early days of the PRism Awards, they were lunches almost all the time. We always had a big attraction MC. A lot of times it was media personalities. We had Steve Allen, and whatever format it was in, it was always an excitement about it. And there was a competition, agency to agency or corporation to corporation. There was always a bit of an edge. The earliest PRism's banquet I remember was the one where the board did a skit and it was a bit of a talent contest. And it was, Nan Miller produced it, and it was hilarious. And we all had a good time with it. I received a Lifetime Achievement Award for when I left PRSA-LA as, after my 40 years, and it's a beautiful award, and I love it.
My career in public relations has really run quite a gamut. I started out working for Walt Disney at Disneyland, and before setting up my own firm, Cooper Communications, I worked directly for Hugh Hefner as Senior Vice President of Marketing for Playboy Enterprises, with some interesting stops in between. And two of my accounts were the Pasadena Tournament of Roses Association and the Motion Picture Academy and the Academy Awards. PR in LA at one point was largely the focus of the entertainment industry and the focus of the aerospace industry. And the entertainment industry wanted to get as much ink as they could, and the aerospace industry didn't really want a lot of publicity. So back in the 60s and 70s and maybe even the late 50s, that's the bulk of the PR industry in Los Angeles. A second big change has been social media. We no longer use the media as a conduit to the public as we used to. This is something I talk about a lot in my classes that I teach at UCLA. Now, the public and all of the publics talk to each other. And the importance of the public relations person in terms of influencing the media is lessened, but in terms of the need for creativity and sustained programming and the ability to work with social media has increased. Third change, I think, is the broad diversity of public relations now. It's in every industry you can imagine, whereas it used to be highly focused. PRSA was the place where all of the senior public relations executives went. So you wanted to go to PRSA because you wanted to meet the movers and shakers in the profession. You could learn from them, you'd get a job from them. You always want to be with the tennis player who plays tennis a little better than you do. And the man for whom I worked at Hershey Rotman and Druck Public Relations in the 1970s, the early 70s, offered to take me to a PRSA luncheon at Tay restaurant. And I just thought, this is my big break to get into PRSA. And so I started going to the meetings. I became more active in the chapter and wound up being on the board and eventually president. For 10 years, I was in charge of public relations for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and its annual Academy Award show. In 1979, I won the award for the Outstanding Program, which was the 50th anniversary of the Motion Picture Academy, which was an international program, literally reams of publicity, black tie dinners around the country. Fabulous program on behalf of a fabulous organization. When winners would walk off the stage at the Oscars, I would say, well, how do you feel about it? And almost invariably, winners would say to me, this is precious because it's given to me by my peers. And I think the PRisms is the same thing. It's the most important award you can get because it's given to you as an honor by the people who know what you can do and know of your capabilities better than anyone else, your professional peers.
I'm Susan Tellum. I'm a senior partner with Tellum Grody Public Relations here in beautiful Malibu. I'm working on a lot of projects, healthcare, entertainment, nonprofit, always busy. I've been in PR for 35 years, despite my youthful appearance, and I specialize a lot in healthcare. I didn't decide to go into PR. PR found me. I got a call from a doctor while I was a nurse, working for another doctor, and he said he was looking for someone to do PR for his surgical center. And I said, well, I can do PR. And then I hung up the phone and I said, what is PR? That's how it all started. PR has changed most dramatically in the last 7 or 8 years with the advent of social media and the death of mainstream media. PRism Awards are very important because they demonstrate the real creativity of people in Los Angeles in public relations. In 1980, I won my very first PRism Award, and I was given the award by LA Times writer Jack Smith, one of the best writers at the LA Times ever. I'm very proud of the 1996 Joseph Ruse Community Service Award that I received from PRSA. Because I've been volunteering my whole life, that recognition was really important to me. My first PRism Award was a lunch at the Century Plaza Hotel in 1980. In those days, we were all like 3 martini lunches, so that's why we had a lunch and not a dinner. My fondest memory of the 1980 lunch was getting the award from Jack Smith. He became a judge for the International Hemingway competition that we did every year for 11 years with Harry's Bar, and he became a friend and was just so much fun to be with. I really miss him. What I like about the PRism Award is the opportunity for little agencies and solo practitioners to win an award, and it's really hard because they have tiny budgets, so knock them dead this year, little agencies.
I think that the PRism Awards, in one word, is what all of us are seeking in the work that we do, and it's validation.
Like the Academy Awards, the idea is to instill a desire to achieve and to incentivize them to be the best in the profession they can.
The one word that describes PRism is credibility.
I would say distinguished.
Groovy.